course, the Axis powers that change the what's it called, treason laws of the United States that currently run America, local, state, and federal, in light of the American Revolution, and what is currently the laws that were edited with treason. And we're just talking about the United States, not immigrants from other countries in relation to Axis powers since Operation Paperclip was enacted after the creation of the CIA for the Nazi invasion of America. And then the DSM and the NSA and all that, fund with the illegal microchip programs through them in the states that have been going on since. You see, I didn't start that video. Anyways, I was doing a screen record. I didn't start that. Anyways, what's it called? Yeah. Um, we're not talking about Axis powers that invaded America, changed the laws, and then I'm talking about the illegal microchip programming that has been going on since the 1940s, during and after the creation of the CIA, then the NSA and all that after Operation Paperclip, the Nazi invasion of America, followed by the Cold War, after the separation of the Allies powers with the USSR during World War II, with knowledge of Holodomor, from the Georgian mass murderer Stalin, KGB. What was I gonna state about that? Caused the Cold War, and then Enola Gay's betrayal of the Japanese Axis power, bombing civilian targets that Japan never forgot, as I stated, with all the Japanese manufactured cars and electronics and video game systems in the States. With that stated, let's see if I can make my point, because it got cut off when my video just started recording, when I didn't press record, when I'm doing a screen record. As I'm trying to state this, because the death cult is going to torture us here in this property very wicked tonight, since I did a Greek Orthodox exorcism ritual and the Latin exorcism ritual in the church after I fell into the power of the devil through lust. And what was I gonna state? Let that shit make sense, bro. Let's just end it with that, I guess. When you're dealing with Native American tribes, Native American Axis tribes with a long history of Native American, African, and Western European slave trade, specifically the Comanche of Oklahoma, tied to the Tippy gang leader with their own constitution. What was I gonna say? You could keep making excuses for trying to flip what I'm saying on me about treason before I get the security scan results of the 15 biosensor nanoparticle microchips in both my ears, by my heart, behind my left shoulder blade, by my tailbone, and 15 other locations in my body that were non-consensually placed there while I was homeless through injection sites. And whoever Axis, Atomwaffen, Division, Order 9 Angels, neo-Nazi terrorist organizations linked to the United States military, Germany, Serbia, Dutchland, and NATO United Nations groups, that are technically classified as terrorist organizations by the federal FBI of the United States, yet they are FBI themselves, correct? And the FBI put some microchip in how many FBI InfraGard links are to the non-consensual injections in me, tied to the Almighty Black Peace Stones, Nazi collaboration, Crip Blood, Freemasonic Illuminati occult, linked to Atomwaffen Division, Order of 9 Angels, and their new fronts. And then you Google Atomwaffen Division headquarters, they don't have one. So the group that's in my ear, you could trace where they're located if they're not being monitored publicly by the United States. And the quote unquote, what they stated, military dialogue dog fucking, excuse my language, on the female and the monastics, what's it called? Since September 2020, 1 to 3 to 5 seconds. Torture, enslavement, rape, molestation, verbal assault, racist, genocidal, human sacrifice, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, anti-Slavic, anti-Ukrainian, Slavophobia, racism again. What's it called? Let that all make sense, man. What I just posted on my X account. In relation to non-consensual, Section 3024 of the 21st Century Cures Act, which abolishes the United States Constitution altogether. Now, with that stated, you know what I'm saying? What is minimal risk in relation to you, local, state, and federal, United States, German, Serbian, Danish, NATO, United Nations, terrorist organizations, Nazi terrorist organizations that are, again, after the Operation Paperclip CIA invasion of America, Nazi invasion of America, when the Allied power was flipped axis. So technically this government is what? Neo-Nazi fascism, dictatorship, oligarchy, tied to satanic, Freemasonic, Gnostic Illuminati. Directly linked to the Almighty Black Peace Stones, Crip Blood, and all those other fun Illuminati Masonic organizations. When you're outside the temple your whole life, regardless of what organization you're a part of, I stated this in the past, let's go you're not a Mason is what I'm saying. Doesn't matter if you're Crip Blood, Republican, Democrat, and all that good stuff. You know, you're all Masons. So handle your 33rd degree crime, Hebrew on Hebrew crime. Because I'm not anti-Semitic if we all come from Adam and Eve. Obviously, they're not a part of the same tribe of Israel I'm a part of, because you had to microchip the dude in order to read his brain to understand his Hesychist and Orthodox thoughts. Ethnic Ukrainian, pre-Holodomor, Kozak, Lemko, Hopak understanding, while lobotomizing he never learned the Ukrainian language to this day. Then lobotomizing is a Ukrainian mind, ethnic mind. Now, with this stated, I brought up the fact of these new changes in the U.S. Code talking about treason, sedition, laws, in the Catechism of the Catholic Church stating about the 5 justifiable exceptions to thou shalt not kill. And I'll look up the Orthodox understanding of that also. And with that stated, in United States Code, as I stated in the past, when you're guilty of treason, you're stripped of your governmental position and punishable up to 5 years plus in prison, fined up to $10,000, and punishable by death penalty, execution. Now, the funny thing about the United States is, I'm an American citizen, second generation Nazi reparations, Ukrainian American from Cleveland, Ohio, baptized in Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church at birth, discerning the Greek Orthodox Church. If I can't unify with them or convince the entire Catholic Church in one day to all join the Greek Orthodox Church, so we don't have to have that whole healing of the Great Schism. All we did was did the Greek Orthodox loophole, which is all the Catholics now can receive Eucharist in the Orthodox and the sacraments, and in the Catholic Church, because the Greek Orthodox are allowed to in the Catholic Church, correct? And with that stated, I've been trying to convince the Catholic Social Club and the Cradle Catholics that don't believe in the Eucharistic presence or whatever their intentions are in the church, tied to whatever groups that I mentioned. Why can't I get 80,000 signatures out of 2 billion people to repeal Section 3024 of the 21st Century Cures Act at change.org? You just got to sign the petition, restoring the Constitution of the United States. With that stated, I talked about treason in the States, okay? We're not talking about Axis powers that invaded America and flipped the Allies to a fascist terrorist state in relation to the American Revolution, talking about treason. Now, with that stated, and all the modern updated laws they did to U.S. Code, punishable by execution, all that good stuff. Now, we're not talking about immigrant families, first, second, and third generation, however they came to America, and what the treason laws are in their country in relation to federal, state, and local governmental positions of the United States, linked to Axis power terrorism, neo-Nazi fascist, occult, satanic, Gnostic, Illuminati, Freemasonry, gay Nazis in the U.S. military with their 24-hour molestation, verbal, sexual assault, torture, aka their code words for fitting people, and all the excuses they made on orthodox psychotherapy outside the temple. Your rules don't apply to us, and neither does that false system of science, we could call it. You could have your science over there. Yeah, that makes sense to your people. That's cool. Indian mathematics, Chinese mathematics, and Greek mathematics are all different forms of math in relation to geometry, with problem solving with an equation, the equal sign. Now, with that stated, if they're gonna keep flipping on me, flying these Nazi planes by, Nazi satanic Illuminati planes by, Gnostic planes by over, Ukrainian Greek Catholic monastery, and the surrounding area has to be tortured, and those, hopefully the state of California and the California National Guard can check those death cults, those satanic terrorist organizations ruled by the FBI, death cults that keep, using that elongated acceleration on the roadside that I just witnessed, was paralyzed, fell down, and them torched. I don't know about anyone else on this property in the area. Yet they did not appeal my request to stop private pilots, however much they get paid, and their satanic occult neo-Nazi hidden agenda, why they're driving those planes by on that timer, causing physical paralysis on the biological hosting patent, whether that's legal or not in light of crimes against humanity. Just because you made a patent, didn't teach kindergartners about it, doesn't mean it's legal. In relation to non-consensual microchip injections, aka modern forms of enslavement, torture, tied to the government agencies that still are covering it up on me right now, preventing me from getting my security clearance to be free to walk off this property in California or in any other state, if I felt like it. If the monastery can't accommodate me here, which they have, you know what I'm saying, pressured again, but at the same time understanding why I couldn't fulfill 2 weeks, like when I called in and I thought that's what I could do minimum, discerning my vocation here, in relation to why all these non-Christians and Roman Latins would just show up here and think this is a party place, where it's a cloistered Eastern Catholic monastery. Like I said, me being a pretty boy and going to a cloistered nunnery in the Roman Church, or the Eastern Catholic churches, and I sit in certain positions where there's a pretty nuns that took monastic vows of abstinence, combating their lust, and I'm just singing my heart out, staring at the beautiful woman, testing to see if she's truly called to be a monastic or not. What's it called? In relation to everything I just discussed, because I'm forced to speak every time I talk as a reactionary response due to 24-hour psychological torture for 7 to 15 years of my life every second. I don't know if I had silence to heal in 30 minutes and I don't know how many years. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Can you give me like 2 minutes? Can you give me 30 seconds Adam Waffen Division, non-consensual, Order 9 Angles, neo-Nazi, gay, German, Serbian, Dutch, United States military group, Freemason in my left ear, with your molestation, rape, verbal assault, No, you're not being monitored by the United States government on 24-hour surveillance, correct me if I'm wrong, and you don't have the official transcript of the military dialogue dogfucking since September of 2020 when they first attacked me on U.S. soil, an Axis power terrorist organization ruled by the FBI, yet they are FBI too, that chipped me and linked to that group themselves in the Axis-run United States, local, state, federal. Again, Native American tribes, specifically the Comanche, which had their own slave trade that enslaved Africans, other Native Americans, and Western Europeans. We'll leave it at that. What's it called? Have their own constitution, whether they're local, state, or federal law enforcement or in the United States military tied to satanic Axis, neo-Nazi, Gnostic, Illuminati, Freemasonry. With that stated, as I stated in the past, when you talk about the first, second, or third generation immigrant families from Nazi reparations, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, regardless of the corruption, if any Hebrews, a handle Hebrew on Hebrew crime tied to Israel, let's go has anything to do with any one non-consensual microchip that's been injected in me. No matter what, the Star of David and I will always fight wars against that swastika on our ancestors with the Knesset after Nuremberg trials, regardless how anyone was treated after Nuremberg trials. During Nuremberg trials, and escape to the Amazon or, various other parts of the world like NASA, United Nations, and so on and so forth. Supposedly, I'm on a 24-hour surveillance Nazi television broadcast that I don't know the channel of, neither does my mother or my family. Yet is the synthetic telepathy in left ear that supposedly masturbates and sweet talks me crazy and states messages like a child, girl, bisexual, in neutral and feminine Ukrainian. Never masculine, never answers questions unless I ask them sexual questions, because the tone of voice, how they speak, obviously sounds like they are masturbating or something, and they usually answer when they are. And that's a United States military group tied to Germany directly. And the plantation family that enslaved my grandmother. That, Germany said, leave that son alone. We owe his family money with our German gold. And we'll take his advice and start demoing the concentration camps, because nobody wants to remember those if, World War III happens. With that stated, they cover it up still with mental illness. With Lebanon, Sarum, Living Space, General Plan Aus, Kristallnacht, Der Untermesh, racist, genocidal anti-Semitism, and ritual human sacrifice. Now, with that stated, I'm trying to explain to the United States with the American Revolution why the Puritans came here, which to my knowledge weren't Masons, and why Martin Luther himself, an Augustinian Roman Catholic monk, was mad at the corruption of the Great Schism and the Medicis and tithing and all that good stuff. After the Fourth Crusade, what's it called? Had every right to post those on the church's door and say, hey, church, do something about it, or I'm going to do something about it. What he did when he quoted about the Greek Orthodox, saying the Greek Orthodox Church is the most devout and loving and right practitioners of the gospel on earth. I never understood when in his book he also stated, I went too far at the end of his life, why an Augustinian monk didn't take a boat or travel all the way to Constantinople, talk to the patriarch, and go on Mount Athos and become an Eastern Orthodox monk. Because the Eastern Catholic churches weren't there yet, to my knowledge. Then I found out the reason why he didn't was because I don't think he had any way to speak to a Greek Orthodox in England at the time after the Great Schism. with the corruption. With that stated, when the Puritans came here, that were, to my knowledge, weren't Masons, to America, after Thanksgiving, when you look at the true story, what happened? What's it called? Here's some chemtrail plane. Let's take a look at this one. Thank God the military sent a silent plane up that B-52. Look at those chemtrails. I don't know if it's barium or aluminum that's going into the stream that runs the faucets here in drinking water. And with that stated, or if it has some kind of, truth serum particles, or LS25, LSD, 20, LS27, LSA, or mescaline, or anything else. With that stated, yeah, thanks for sending like B-52 California to say, hey, we stopped. The military is not stalking you with the loud noises from planes on a death timer. Those are private pilots, part of those death calls. And whatever client list their Masonic 33rd degree members don't tell their wives and husbands about in their meetings. I don't know nothing about that because I don't follow those degree systems or believe in that system. Where they quote unquote say chip on the shoulder, daddy step, and through microwave hearing radiation fitting him and all that stuff when I practice abstinence. And what's it called? Orthodox psychotherapy. That doesn't apply to us. That rape molestation through the sleep cycle. Verbal sexual assault with the bugs in the church I've found. And various other buildings on his property. And when I walked to the Buddhist monastery in the tree line, when I walked across the street where the cross is going down the Russian River in the moonlight, in the tree line also. The masculine synthetic telepathy. I don't know if it was a drone following me or,